Hello and welcome back to Talk English Now. I'm Sarah, and today we're going to talk about how you can start speaking English with more confidence and how you can slowly let go of that nervous feeling that makes your voice shaky or your mind go blank when you try to speak. I know that for many learners, speaking English feels different from just learning vocabulary or grammar. It feels personal, because when you speak, you are showing yourself to the world, and that can be scary. I want you to imagine for a moment that speaking English is like stepping onto a small stage, not a big stage with bright lights, but a small, safe stage where only a few friendly people are listening. In this space, there is no judgment, no pressure, only the chance to share your thoughts. This is the place we want to create in your mind every time you speak English. The first thing I want you to know is that confidence is not something you either have or don't have. It is something you build, step by step. Each time you speak, even if it's just a few words, you are adding a small brick to the wall of your confidence. At first, the wall is low and fragile, but as you keep speaking, it becomes stronger, until one day you notice that it stands tall without much effort. When you feel nervous about speaking, it's usually because your brain is too focused on what could go wrong. Maybe you worry about forgetting a word. Maybe you fear making a mistake. Or maybe you think people will judge your accent. But here's the truth. People are not thinking about you as much as you imagine. They are mostly focused on their own thoughts. And most people actually admire someone who tries to speak another language. So the next time you open your mouth to speak English, try shifting your focus away from yourself and onto the other person. Instead of thinking, what if I make a mistake? Think, how can I make this person feel understood? This small change in focus can relax your mind and help your words come out more naturally. One of the simplest ways to practice confident speaking is to slow down. Many learners try to speak too fast, thinking it will make them sound fluent, but speaking too fast can make your words less clear, and it can make you feel more stressed. Slow, steady speech not only sounds more confident, but also gives you time to think. Let's try this together. I'll say a sentence slowly, and you repeat it with me. I am learning to speak English with confidence. Again, I am learning to speak English with confidence. Notice how slowing down gives each word space to breathe. You don't have to rush. You can give your ideas time to form. Another thing that helps build confidence is becoming familiar with the sound of your own voice in English. Many learners feel awkward simply because they are not used to hearing themselves speak the language. So I encourage you to talk to yourself in English when you're alone. You can describe what you are doing. You can practice a conversation you might have later. Or you can even tell yourself a short story. The more you hear yourself, the more normal it will feel. There's also a powerful connection between body language and confidence. Even if nobody can see you when you speak English, your posture affects your voice. When you sit or stand tall, your voice naturally becomes clearer. When your shoulders are relaxed and your chin is slightly up, your words sound more open and sure. Try this now. Sit up straight, take a slow, deep breath, and say, I can speak English with confidence. Feel the difference. Sometimes fear of speaking comes from comparing yourself to others. Maybe you hear someone speaking fluently and you think, "I'll never sound like that." But remember, you are on your own journey. The person you are comparing yourself to has probably been practicing for years. Instead of comparing, try to be inspired. Think, if they can do it, I can get there too. Speaking English with confidence also means accepting that mistakes are part of the process. Every confident speaker you hear has made thousands of mistakes. The difference is they didn't let those mistakes stop them. In fact, they learned from them. So the next time you make a mistake, instead of feeling embarrassed, think, "This is one more step forward." In this lesson, I'm going to guide you through not just ideas, but also small, real speaking practices you can do right now as you listen. The goal is to help you train both your mind and your mouth so that speaking English feels natural and comfortable. And by the end of our time together, I want you to feel like English is a language you can carry with ease. Let's start with a simple warm-up practice. I will say a short question, and you answer it out loud in English, without worrying about being perfect. Ready? What's your name? Answer now. Good. Now try, where are you from? And now, what do you like to do in your free time? This kind of quick response speaking trains you to think less and speak more, because confidence grows when you stop overanalyzing every sentence before you say it. We want your brain to connect ideas and words smoothly without freezing. As we go deeper into this lesson, I'll also share some ways to train your brain to think in English so you don't have to translate from your native language. When you stop translating, your sentences flow more easily and your confidence naturally increases. And now, I just want you to remember this. Confidence is built through action, not waiting. If you wait until you feel confident before speaking, you may wait forever. But if you speak first, confidence will follow. And each time you speak, that small stage in your mind will feel less intimidating and more like a familiar, safe place where your voice belongs. Now that we've warmed up with those quick responses, let's go a little deeper. I want you to practice speaking about something you know very well, your own daily life. Talking about your daily routine in English is a great way to build confidence because you already know the content. There's no need to search for complicated ideas, and you can focus on speaking clearly and calmly. For example, imagine you're telling me about your morning. Say this slowly with me. I wake up at 7 o'clock. Again. I wake up at 7 o'clock. Now, let's add another detail. I make a cup of tea. One more time. I make a cup of tea. You see how simple sentences give you a base to work from, and as you get more comfortable, you can add more information. I wake up at 7 o'clock, and I make a cup of tea before I start my work. The more you speak about familiar things, the less pressure you feel, because you're not guessing. You're not trying to remember something complicated. You're just telling your own story. And your story is something you know better than anyone else. Another step toward confidence is practicing shadowing. Shadowing means listening to a sentence in English and repeating it immediately, trying to match the speed, rhythm, and pronunciation. It's like walking right next to someone and matching their pace. Let's try a small shadowing practice together. I'll say a sentence, and you repeat right after me. I am learning to speak English more confidently every day. Again. I am learning to speak English more confidently every day. Shadowing helps you build muscle memory in your mouth. The more you repeat natural English sentences, the easier it becomes to produce them on your own. And because you're practicing in real time, you're training your brain not to pause too long between words. Sometimes the biggest obstacle to confidence isn't language skill, it's mindset. If you've been telling yourself, "I'm not good at speaking English," your brain starts to believe it. But if you begin telling yourself, "I am improving my English every day," you create a new belief. So let's change your inner voice right now. Repeat after me. I am improving my English every day. I can speak clearly and with confidence. I enjoy speaking English. Even if these sentences don't feel completely true yet, saying them helps your brain and body move toward that reality. Confidence grows when your thoughts, your voice, and your actions all work together. Let's do a little exercise to connect them. I want you to choose a very simple sentence about yourself, like, I live in, or I like to. Now, sit tall, take a deep breath, and say that sentence out loud with clear, steady words. Notice how your voice feels when you do that. Now say the same sentence with your shoulders slouched and your head down. Hear the difference. Your posture changes the way your voice carries. Confidence also comes from preparation. If you know you'll need to speak English in a certain situation, you can prepare some sentences in advance. For example, if you have a meeting at work, you can think of how to introduce yourself or how to answer common questions. Practicing these sentences out loud before the moment comes makes you feel more ready. And readiness creates confidence. But remember, you don't need to prepare an entire script for every conversation. Conversations are living things. They move, they change, and you don't have to control them completely. You just need to be ready to join in. And to join in, you need to take that first small step, even if your voice shakes. Sometimes learners think that confidence means speaking perfectly. But in truth, confidence means speaking even when it's not perfect. It's knowing that your message matters more than the exact grammar. When you speak with warmth, interest, and energy, people remember how you made them feel more than the small mistakes you made. If you're enjoying this lesson so far, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more daily English practice. It's a small way to support us, and it helps you keep learning with new lessons every day. Now, let's practice another confidence-building skill, pausing. Many learners are afraid of pauses, so they fill every space with or But confident speakers know that a short pause can actually make them sound more calm and in control. Let's try it. Say this sentence with me. I enjoy speaking English. Feel how each pause gives the words more weight. Now try I am improving my skills. You see how it sounds measured and clear. Pausing also gives your listener time to process your words, and it gives you time to breathe. You don't have to rush to prove you can speak quickly. Clarity is more valuable than speed when building confidence. The more we practice together, the more you'll notice that speaking English is not about pushing yourself to be perfect right away. It's about creating many small moments of success that tell your brain, I can do this. Even answering a simple question or greeting someone in English is a victory. These small wins stack up over time until speaking feels natural. So as we continue, I want you to focus not on how far you have to go, but on how much you've already done. You're here right now, listening and speaking with me, and that means you've already taken the most important step, starting. Now that you've started, our goal is to keep building layer upon layer of confidence until speaking English feels as natural as breathing. The best way to do this is through regular, gentle practice, not pushing yourself so hard that you feel stressed, but practicing often enough that your progress feels steady. Think of it like watering a plant. You don't pour all the water in one day and then leave it dry. You give it a little each day, and over time, it grows strong. Let's create a short speaking habit together. Every day, choose one small topic to speak about for 2 minutes. It could be what you ate for breakfast, a movie you watched, a goal you have, or something that happened today. During those 2 minutes, don't stop to translate in your head. If you don't know a word, use another word or describe it. This teaches your brain to keep going instead of freezing. We can try a mini version of this now. I'll give you a topic, and I want you to speak out loud for just a short moment. Your topic is your favorite season. Start by saying, my favorite season is, and then explain why. Speak slowly, and don't worry if it's not perfect. Good. Now try a new topic, a place you would like to visit. Say, I would like to visit, and describe what you would do there. This exercise builds not just your speaking skill, but also your ability to organize your thoughts in English. Another key to confidence is learning to handle the moments when you forget a word. Instead of stopping completely, you can use phrases to keep the conversation going. For example, if you can't remember a specific word, you can say, it's a kind of, or it's similar to, or I can't remember the word, but it means. Using these bridge phrases shows that you are resourceful, and it keeps the communication alive. We can practice that now. Imagine you're trying to say microwave, but you forget the word. Instead, you could say, it's a machine in the kitchen that heats food quickly. You see how that keeps the conversation moving? Even if the listener has to help you with the exact word, you've still communicated your idea. The fear of going blank is one of the biggest confidence killers for learners. But once you know you have tools to handle those moments, the fear loses its power. You start to think, even if I forget, I can still explain myself. And that thought alone gives you courage to speak more. Confidence also grows when you spend more time listening to natural English. The more you hear it, the more familiar it becomes, and the easier it is to reproduce. Listening doesn't just improve your comprehension, it shapes the way you speak. You start to pick up rhythm, pronunciation, and even common phrases without memorizing them in a forced way. As you listen, try not to just hear the words. Notice the way the speaker uses their voice. Where do they pause? How do they change their tone when they're excited or when they're explaining something important? These small details are part of confident communication, and you can practice them too. Let's take a sentence and practice it with different emotions. The sentence is, I'm ready to start. First, say it calmly. I'm ready to start. Now, say it with excitement. I'm ready to start. Now, say it with certainty. I'm ready to start. See how the meaning changes with your tone. Confident speakers know how to use tone to make their message stronger. Another thing to remember is that confidence is not the same as speaking loudly. You can be confident and speak softly. The key is clarity and steady delivery. In fact, many great communicators speak at a comfortable, steady volume and still hold everyone's attention. When you practice, imagine you are speaking to one person who is really listening. This mental image helps you stay relaxed and personal in your delivery. It's much easier to speak confidently to one friendly listener than to imagine a huge crowd. If you can, also try recording yourself, speaking, then listen back. At first, it might feel strange to hear your own voice, but this is one of the most powerful tools for building confidence. You will notice things you didn't realize, like words you pronounce well and areas you can improve. And every time you record yourself, you create a small piece of proof of your progress. Confidence is also about being present in the moment. When you speak, focus on the conversation you're having right now, not the mistakes you made yesterday or the ones you might make tomorrow. Staying in the present keeps your mind calm and your voice steady. As we continue, I want you to remember something important. Confidence is not a final destination. It's a habit. It's something you choose to practice every time you speak. And each time you choose to speak, even if you feel a little afraid, you are becoming the kind of English speaker you want to be. One of the most effective ways to turn confidence into a daily habit is to link your English practice to moments that already happen in your day. For example, if you drink coffee in the morning, you can use that time to speak 1 or 2 sentences in English about your plans for the day. Or if you walk somewhere, you can describe what you see around you in English as you walk. Connecting English to daily life makes it natural and less like a school exercise. This also helps you create a positive emotional link with speaking English. If your English practice always feels like pressure or a test, your brain will avoid it. But if it's part of a comfortable routine, your brain will accept it more easily. Let's do a quick example right now. Imagine you're walking outside. You might say, "The sun is shining and the air feels fresh." Or, "There are children playing in the park." You're not performing for anyone. You're simply noticing the world in English. This kind of quiet practice builds your comfort level without the stress of an audience. Another important piece of confidence is learning how to start a conversation. For many learners, the first few words are the hardest. Once the conversation starts, it flows more easily. So I want you to have a set of go-to opening lines you can use without thinking. For example, "Hi, how are you?" Or, "It's nice to see you again." Or, "That's interesting. Can you tell me more about it?" When you already have these lines ready, you don't have to worry about inventing something on the spot, and starting strong makes the rest of the conversation feel easier. We can practice that now. I'll say a line, and you repeat it after me, focusing on a calm, clear voice. "Hi, how are you? It's nice to see you again." "That's interesting. Can you tell me more about it?" Once you've opened the conversation, you can keep it going by asking simple, open questions. Questions like, "What do you think about?" Or, "How was your weekend?" Invite the other person to share more, giving you time to listen and think about your next response. Listening carefully is also part of speaking with confidence. When you truly listen, you're not only planning what you'll say next, you're connecting to the other person. And connection reduces fear, because the focus is no longer on me speaking perfectly, but on us communicating together. Sometimes people think they need to have a huge vocabulary before they can speak confidently, but this is not true. What matters more is knowing how to use the words you already have. For example, if you know the word happy, you can say, "I'm happy today." "I feel happy when I see my friends," or "That movie made me happy." The more ways you use your existing words, the more flexible and confident you become. Another thing that can help is practicing in low-pressure environments. That might mean speaking English to a friend who is also learning, or joining a small online group where everyone understands that mistakes are part of the process. The less pressure you feel, the more your natural voice can come out. You might also find it useful to have small confidence boosters before speaking. For some people, this means taking 2 deep breaths. For others, it's standing in a power pose for a few seconds or saying a quick positive phrase like, "I can do this." These small rituals tell your mind that it's safe to speak. Let's try a mini confidence booster right now. Take a deep breath in, hold it for a moment, and slowly let it out. Now say out loud, "I am ready to speak." Again, "I am ready to speak." You might feel a small shift inside, more calm, more present. Confidence also grows when you challenge yourself in small, manageable steps. If you avoid speaking situations completely, your fear will grow. But if you take tiny steps, like ordering food in English or greeting someone in English, you send yourself the message, "I can handle this." And the next step comes easier. You can think of this like climbing a gentle hill instead of jumping to the top of a mountain, one small step, then another. And before you know it, you've reached a place where you can look back and see how far you've come. And remember, every confident English speaker you admire was once a beginner. They went through the same nervous moments, the same pauses, the same forgotten words. The difference is, they kept going. They practiced even when they didn't feel ready, and they gave themselves permission to learn out loud. That's what I want for you, to give yourself permission to learn out loud, to see speaking not as a test, but as a practice. to understand that every sentence you say in English is one more step toward the confident, fluent speaker you are becoming. As we keep moving forward, I want you to think about the difference between speaking to be understood and speaking to impress. Many learners feel pressured to use big, complex words or long sentences because they think it will make them sound more fluent. But true confidence is speaking in a way that is clear, comfortable, and natural for you. When you focus on being understood, you take away a lot of unnecessary stress. Your goal becomes to share your message, not to perform. And this shift often makes your speech smoother and more genuine. Let's practice speaking clearly without overcomplicating. I'll say a sentence, and you repeat it. I like reading books. Again, I like reading books. Now I'll add one more detail. I like reading books in the evening. One more time. I like reading books in the evening. You see, even with simple words, your meaning is complete. This is especially important when speaking with native English speakers. They will usually appreciate clear, simple language more than long, unnatural sentences, and often they will respond in a way that gives you new words to learn naturally. One of the secrets to sounding confident is to use phrases you've practiced many times. When you have certain sentences ready in your mind, you can use them without hesitation. For example, "That's a good question," or "I see what you mean," or "Let me think about that for a second." These short phrases give you a moment to prepare your next words while keeping the conversation flowing. We can practice those now. Repeat after me. That's a good question. I see what you mean. Let me think about that for a second. These phrases are like small bridges in conversation. They carry you smoothly from one idea to the next without rushing. Another area that often causes nervousness is pronunciation. Many learners worry that their accent will make them sound less confident. But here's the truth. Having an accent does not mean you are less fluent or less skilled. Your accent is a sign that you speak more than one language, and that's something to be proud of. Instead of trying to erase your accent completely, focus on making your pronunciation clear. Choose certain words you use often and practice them slowly and carefully until they feel natural. For example, words like really, because, or comfortable. Let's take comfortable as an example. Many learners try to pronounce every syllable, but in natural English, it often sounds like comf-to-bull. Now you try it slowly. Comfortable. Good. Again. Comfortable. Practicing these words over time helps you say them smoothly without overthinking. Confidence also grows when you celebrate your progress. Instead of only noticing what you can't do yet, take time to notice what you've improved. Maybe you can now order food in English without feeling nervous, or you can hold a short conversation without switching to your native language. These are real achievements, and they deserve recognition. Sometimes it helps to keep a small confidence journal. Each day, write down one English success you had, no matter how small. Over time, you'll see the list grow, and it will remind you of how far you've come. I also want you to understand that confidence is not about never feeling nervous. Even experienced speakers feel nervous sometimes. The difference is they don't let that nervousness stop them. They speak anyway. And usually, after the first few sentences, the nervous feeling starts to fade. If you ever find yourself freezing in the middle of a conversation, here's a trick. Repeat the question or the last few words the other person said. This gives you a moment to think and shows you are engaged. For example, if someone says, "What do you like to do on weekends?" you can reply, "On weekends," and then continue, "I like to..." It's a simple way to buy time without breaking the flow. We can try that now. I'll ask you, where do you usually go shopping? You repeat the key words, "Go shopping?" and then answer. Maybe, "I usually go shopping at the mall." Techniques like this give you control over the conversation, and having that control is a big part of feeling confident. The most important thing to remember is that confidence comes from doing, not just thinking about doing. Every time you speak, you are training yourself to be braver, calmer, and more comfortable in English. So, don't wait for the perfect moment to speak. The perfect moment is now, every time you get the chance. Even a quick hello to someone or a short exchange with a cashier is an opportunity to grow. And the more you take those opportunities, the faster your confidence will rise. When you think about it, every conversation you have in English is like a small training session. Some sessions might feel smooth, others might feel messy, but all of them are valuable. Even the ones where you stumble on words or forget something are teaching you resilience. One of the best ways to make those messy moments feel less stressful is to smile. Even if you're nervous inside, smiling sends a message to both your brain and the person you're talking to that this is a friendly, safe interaction. And when people see that you're relaxed and approachable, they respond in the same way, which makes you feel more confident. You can also prepare your mind for speaking by visualizing a positive outcome before you open your mouth. Picture yourself speaking clearly. Imagine the other person listening with interest. Feel the satisfaction of finishing your sentence. This mental rehearsal makes the real conversation feel more familiar and less intimidating. Another helpful tool is to make your practice sessions fun. If all your practice feels like hard work, it can be difficult to stay consistent. But if you sometimes play with the language, by telling jokes, singing songs, or acting out short scenarios, you'll enjoy the process more, and when you enjoy something, you naturally want to do it more often. Let's try something playful together. I'll give you a short, fun sentence, and you repeat it with expression. It's a sunny day, and I'm feeling great. Now say it like you're excited about good news. It's a sunny day, and I'm feeling great. And now, say it with a calm, peaceful tone. It's a sunny day, and I'm feeling great. Practicing the same sentence in different ways helps you control your tone and adds personality to your speech. As your confidence grows, you'll also notice that your listening skills improve. This is because speaking and listening work together. The more you pay attention to how people express themselves, the more natural patterns you can use in your own speaking. You can even borrow phrases you hear and make them part of your personal English toolbox. For example, if you hear someone say, "That's a great idea," you can start using it whenever it fits. These ready-made phrases reduce the thinking time you need in a conversation and make you sound more confident. But remember, it's not just about memorizing. It's about using these phrases in real contexts so they feel natural. Think of them like favorite songs. When you've sung them many times, you don't need to look at the lyrics anymore. It's also important to manage your self-talk. The way you speak to yourself in your head can either build or break your confidence. If you often say, "I can't do this," or "I'm terrible at English," your brain starts to believe it. But if you tell yourself, "I'm improving every day," and "I can handle this conversation," your brain begins to work with you, not against you. Let's practice some positive self-talk now. Repeat after me. I am getting better every day. Again. I am getting better every day. Now. I am not afraid to speak English. One more time. I am not afraid to speak English. The more you hear yourself say these words, the more your brain starts to accept them as true. Also, I want you to be patient with your progress. Confidence is built over time. Some days you will feel stronger. Other days you might feel shy again, and that's okay. Just like learning any skill, there will be ups and downs. What matters is that you keep going. When you do have a great speaking experience, take a moment to store it in your memory. Think about what went well, how you felt, and what you said. Then, the next time you feel nervous, you can remember that success and remind yourself, "I've done it before, I can do it again." And if a conversation doesn't go the way you hoped, treat it as a lesson, not a failure. Ask yourself, what could I try differently next time? This way, every experience, good or bad, becomes a step forward. Ultimately, speaking with confidence is about creating a habit of showing up. You show up to the conversation, you speak, you listen, and you keep going. Over time, these repeated moments add up until you realize you're no longer thinking about confidence. You're just speaking. And that's the point where English becomes a natural part of you. One thing I want you to remember is that confidence is often built in the small, unnoticed moments. It's not only when you give a long speech or have a perfect conversation. It's also when you say a quick hello to your neighbor, answer a simple question at work, or even talk to yourself in English while making dinner. These small moments are like invisible bricks, slowly building a strong foundation beneath your feet. When you focus only on big challenges, you might feel overwhelmed. But if you recognize the value of these smaller steps, you'll realize you're practicing all the time without even thinking about it. Another helpful way to boost your confidence is to talk about things you truly enjoy. When you speak about a subject you love, like your favorite music, hobby, or food, you naturally sound more energetic and sure of yourself. Passion brings out confidence, and people listening will feel that energy. Let's try a quick practice together. Choose one thing you really like, maybe coffee, travel, painting, or sports. Now, say out loud, "I love," and fill in your choice. Then add a short reason why. For example, "I love painting because it helps me relax." Notice how easy it feels to speak when you care about the topic. You can also use storytelling as a powerful confidence-building tool. When you tell a short story, you're not just giving facts, you're creating an experience for the listener. Stories hold attention, and they give you a clear structure to follow, which can make speaking feel easier. Start with something simple from your own life. For example, last weekend, I went to the park with my friends. We had a picnic, and the weather was perfect. We talked, laughed, and played games until the sun went down. You see, it doesn't have to be complicated. It's about painting a small picture with your words. Storytelling also allows you to use gestures, facial expressions, and changes in tone, all of which make you sound more confident. Even if you're practicing alone, try moving your hands a little as you speak or changing your voice when something in the story is exciting. This brings life to your words. Another habit that supports confidence is knowing when to slow down your learning. Sometimes, learners push themselves so hard to master new vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation all at once that they start to feel exhausted. But confidence grows best when you have enough mental space to enjoy the process. If you ever feel overwhelmed, take a day to just review what you already know. Spend time speaking only with your current vocabulary. Enjoy using it fully instead of always chasing the next thing. This pause will remind you that you already have tools you can use. In fact, one of the most empowering feelings in language learning is realizing I can communicate with what I already know. You might not say everything perfectly, but you can still share your thoughts. You understand others and make connections, and that is the true purpose of speaking a language. I also want you to remember that confidence is not about never making mistakes. It's about not letting mistakes stop you. A confident speaker is willing to try, knowing they might be wrong, because they care more about connection than perfection. So, let's reframe how we think about mistakes. Instead of, I failed, think, I learned. Instead of, I embarrassed myself, think, I practiced. And instead of, I can't speak, think, I am speaking and I am improving. You can even practice responding to your own mistakes with humor. For example, if you say something in a funny way by accident, you can smile and say, well, that's a new sentence. Showing you can laugh at yourself makes the other person feel more relaxed, and it makes you feel less pressure. Finally, remember that your voice matters. Your ideas, your experiences, and your feelings are worth sharing in English. The more you believe this, the easier it will be to speak, because confidence begins with the belief that what you have to say has value, and I promise you, it does. Let's take a moment to talk about presence, being truly in the moment when you speak. When you're present, your mind isn't racing ahead to the next sentence or replaying the last one. You're focused on the person you're speaking to and the idea you're expressing right now. Being present not only makes you sound more confident, but it also helps you listen better. And when you listen better, you respond more naturally. Many learners lose confidence because they feel like they have to plan their entire answer before they open their mouth. But confident speaking often starts with just one sentence. You say that, and then you build the rest as you go. We can practice that together. I'll give you a question, and you'll answer it with only one sentence to start. Then, if you feel comfortable, you can add a little more. The quest. Question is, what did you have for breakfast today? Answer with a single sentence. Good. Now add one more detail. This kind of exercise teaches you that you don't have to say everything at once. You can take your time. Another way to grow confidence is to set very small, clear goals for each conversation. Maybe your goal is to ask 2 questions, or to use one new word you learned this week, or to tell a short story without stopping. When you meet these small goals, you feel a sense of accomplishment, and that feeling builds your desire to speak more. You can also combine speaking practice with something else you enjoy. For example, if you like cooking, you can explain the recipe out loud in English while you prepare it. If you enjoy walking, you can describe what you see or imagine telling a friend about your walk. These small moments keep English alive in your daily life. Confidence grows when you create your own opportunities to speak instead of waiting for them. That might mean joining an online group, calling a friend who also speaks English, or even practicing with a voice recording app. Each of these experiences trains you to use English in different situations. Let's talk for a moment about fear, the fear that stops many learners from speaking. Often, this fear comes from imagining a negative reaction from the listener. But in reality, most people are kinder and more patient than we expect. They may even be impressed that you are communicating in a second language. Here's a small mental shift you can make. Instead of thinking, I hope they don't notice my mistakes, think, I hope they understand my message. Because communication is about connection, not perfection. If you practice thinking this way, you'll notice your focus moving from yourself to the person you're speaking with. And when you care more about the other person's experience than your own fears, your confidence grows naturally. It also helps to create a list of topics you feel comfortable talking about in English. These can be your safe topics when you're nervous. For example, your hometown, your favorite foods, your hobbies, or a place you've visited. Having these ready in your mind gives you something to fall back on when you feel stuck. We can practice one now. Let's say your safe topic is my favorite food. Start by saying, my favorite food is... Then describe it. What it tastes like, when you usually eat it, and why you enjoy it. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to communicate. As you practice more of these topics, you'll start to notice a familiar rhythm in your speech. That rhythm becomes a comfort, and comfort is a big part of confidence. The truth is, confidence isn't just a feeling, it's a skill. It's something you train through action, repetition, and reflection. And the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Just like a muscle, it grows when you work it regularly. So, if you remember nothing else from this lesson, remember this. Confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you create every time you open your mouth to speak. And the fact that you're here, practicing with me right now, means you're already creating it. Now that we've talked about building confidence step by step, I want to remind you that your journey will be unique. No two learners are exactly the same. You might progress quickly in some areas and more slowly in others, and that's completely normal. Confidence comes from accepting your own pace instead of comparing yourself to someone else's. When you compare, you're often looking at someone's highlight moments, not their struggles. But every confident speaker you admire has gone through many awkward or difficult conversations to get where they are. So rather than thinking, I wish I could speak like them, think, I'm building my own version of confidence. One powerful way to keep your confidence growing is to celebrate small victories. For example, maybe you used a new word correctly in conversation. Or maybe you understood a native speaker without asking them to repeat. Or maybe you simply spoke up when you normally would have stayed quiet. Each of these moments is worth recognizing. Let's take a moment to practice noticing our progress. I want you to think of one thing you can do in English now that you couldn't do 6 months ago. Say it out loud. Now I can. And fill in the sentence. Feel how good it is to acknowledge that these moments remind you that you are moving forward, even if it's not always visible day to day. Another useful practice for confidence is speaking in different environments. If you always practice in the same place, your brain connects English speaking with that environment only. But when you try speaking in new places, like a cafe, a park, or a different room in your home, you train yourself to adapt, which is a big part of feeling confident in real-life situations. You can also strengthen your confidence by speaking with different people. Talking to friends is one thing, but speaking with strangers or people from different backgrounds challenges you in new ways. You might hear different accents, learn new expressions, and discover how to adjust your speaking style depending on who you're talking to. Sometimes you might meet someone who speaks very quickly or uses words you don't know. Instead of feeling discouraged, you can use this as a chance to practice asking for clarification. Phrases like, "Could you repeat that more slowly?" or "What does that mean?" are signs of a confident communicator, not a weak one. They show that you care about understanding, which is the real goal of conversation. Let's practice those now. Repeat after me. Could you repeat that more slowly? Again. Could you repeat that more slowly? Now. What does that mean? One more time. What does that mean? These small tools give you control when you face challenges, and control makes you feel safe. Safety is what allows confidence to grow. I also want you to remember that confidence is not about pretending to know everything. In fact, sometimes the most confident thing you can say is, "I'm not sure, but I can find out." This honesty takes away the pressure of having to be perfect and opens the door for learning. You can even use this approach when you're practicing with a friend. If you don't know a word, you can say, "I don't know the exact word, but it's like," and then describe it. Every time you do this, you're proving to yourself that you can keep a conversation going even when you hit a gap in your knowledge. Confidence also grows when you make English a part of your identity, not just a skill you're learning. Instead of thinking, "I'm trying to learn English," start thinking, "I'm an English speaker who is still improving." This small change in identity makes you feel more comfortable owning your place in the language. And the more you see yourself as a speaker, the more naturally you'll act like one. You'll join conversations more easily, you'll express your thoughts without overthinking, and you'll trust yourself to handle unexpected moments. We're getting close to the end of this lesson, but I want you to know that your confidence will continue to grow as long as you keep practicing. It's not something that happens in one day. It's a habit you build over time, and you've been practicing that habit just by listening and speaking with me here. As we come to the end of our time together today, I want you to carry one clear thought with you. Confidence in speaking English is not something you're born with. It's something you create. You've already been creating it with every sentence you've spoken during this lesson, every time you repeated after me, every time you practiced a short response, every time you imagined yourself in a conversation. You were building that skill. From now on, I want you to approach English speaking with curiosity instead of fear. Think of each conversation as an exploration, not a test. When you explore, you're free to try new things, to take small risks, and to discover new ways to express yourself. Remember, you don't have to be perfect to be confident. You just have to be willing to speak. And the more you speak, the stronger that willingness becomes, until it turns into a natural part of who you are. If you ever feel nervous before speaking, take a slow, deep breath. Remind yourself, I can do this. Choose one simple sentence to begin with. And once you take that first step, the next words will come more easily. Confidence is built on moments like that, not on waiting for the day when you feel completely ready, but on speaking even when you're not sure. Over time, those moments will add up, and one day you'll realize you're speaking without thinking about whether you're confident or not. You're just speaking. And I want you to remember that you're not on this journey alone. There are millions of learners around the world who are working toward the same goal. Every time you speak English, you're joining that global conversation, and your voice matters in it. So keep practicing, keep showing up, and keep believing in your ability to grow. The more you speak, the more you'll feel that English belongs to you. It's not just a language you study, it's a language you live. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It's been a pleasure guiding you through this practice, and I'm proud of every step you've taken. You've done more than just learn, you've acted, and action is the heart of confidence. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss future lessons. I'll be here to guide you every step of the way. Until next time, keep speaking, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself. You can do this, and you're already doing it. See you soon.